campfire is the heart and soul of the camp. One that's properly built will cast a glow of warmth throughout your shelter, giving you a comfortable night in the outdoors. We are well into fall now, and the temperature at night is dropping below zero, so a well-built campfire is going to be the determining factor on how comfortable of a camp this is. In Woodcraft and Camping, the campfire that Nesmith describes has a few different components. The first one I'm going to tackle is the back logs. Now, these logs he's written should be about 10 inches in diameter and approximately 5 feet in length. And they should be cut from green wood of a slow-burning species. I've got this aspen tree here, which has been blown over by the wind. It's no longer green, but there is still a lot of moisture in it. And it's about the best slow-burning species that we have here. And I think that this is going to be quite suitable. It is rather large in diameter, right around that 8 to 10 inch range. And I think that this is going to work perfectly fine for my back logs. I try to find wood that's already been blown over or broken off rather than cutting down green trees when I'm in the outdoors. Sometimes you have to cut green, but in this case I found this aspen tree, and since it is a rather slow burning wood and it is still full of moisture, I think it's going to work out just fine. So that's a pretty decent sized log to be getting with a little 1 pound hatchet, but very doable. Certainly doesn't take nearly as much time as one might think, and it actually goes pretty easily. So pretty happy with this little hatchet, very impressed with it. That's one back log down. I'm just gonna get 3 more exactly like it. These logs have got some weight to them. They are certainly full of moisture. I think they're going to work quite nicely for my back logs. Little hatchet did pretty good. These thicker logs, they were at least 8 inches in diameter. So, not too bad for the little 1 pound. I ended up cutting 4 5-foot logs for my back logs. And I cut an extra little stump here, which is going to be my seat around the camp. Always nice to have a place to sit. So now it's time to get going on building up the campfire. So all this debris here, it's not even really, maybe a little bit damp, but not very. Once you get a fire going, it's going to dry right out. What will happen is this will begin to smolder, and it can actually spread out away from your fire, and if it gets to a point where it gets hot enough, it can ignite, and that's how you end up with forest fires. So I'm going to carefully dig all this out. Lots of roots in here too. I'll have to chop them out. No big deal. But I'm going to make sure I get down to good mineral soil, which seems to be right about here, just under the surface. So we'll get this top layer cleaned up real nice, so there's no risk of a forest fire. It is a little more work to dig out your fire pit like this, but it gives me some peace of mind. It's a lot safer than just having a fire on top of all this debris. Looks really good now though. I've got my first backlog put in place. The thickest one goes at the bottom. I've got some stakes that I cut, going to pound them in behind my backlog at a slightly backwards leaning angle. With the stakes for the backlogs set in place, they're feeling real firm. It's tempting to just stack up your backlogs. I prefer to move ahead a little bit and set the 2 side logs, or the fire dogs, first. Getting them secured in place first prevents the backlog from rolling out as you begin to stack up the other backlogs. There's a few common misconceptions about the purpose of these backlogs. A lot of people build them out of really small diameter wood, thinking that by having a wall behind your fire, it's going to reflect heat into your sleeping area. But wood doesn't really reflect heat all too well, so I wouldn't build one for that purpose. And some people build them as a windbreak, but if you need a windbreak on the back side of your fire, that means that the wind is blowing directly into your shelter, and you've probably set your shelter up in the wrong orientation. The first time I ever saw one of these was in Woodcraft and Camping, so I've always known that these are meant to be logs that burn. And what happens is, as you build your fire up, at night you push your fire right up against this base log, and these logs, the front face of them here, will catch fire, and you'll basically have a wall of fire radiating a bunch of heat directly into your sleep area. So that's the purpose of the backlogs. It's not for reflecting heat or for breaking wind. These are burning logs meant to create a wall of fire, or a face of burning logs that radiates a whole bunch of heat directly onto your bed. There's only one last component of our campfire, and that is the front log, or forelog. And that is the campfire. All but the fire, as it should be. Now this probably goes without saying, but this is certainly overkill for a one-person camp. Typically when I'll make this, these backlogs will end up being 3 or 4 feet in length, and I'll use slightly smaller diameter wood too. These are some big logs. But I wanted to build it to scale to show you just how big of a fire he would have in order to radiate enough heat into his open shelters and be able to keep 3 or 4 fully grown men comfortable even when the temperatures drop below 0. Another reason I wanted to build this to scale is because the image shown in the book makes it look deceptively small. Camp is certainly coming together. Got the heart and soul, the campfire, complete, burning bright, putting off good heat. Feels so good. Temperatures have already started to drop significantly. It's going to be a cold one. After all that work today though, I am certainly due for a meal. Gonna let my fire burn down just a bit, take in some heat, then I'll get busy making myself a nice simple supper. The cook kit that I decided to bring with me is composed of these 2 pots, my frying pan that I'm using as a crude cutting board here, and then my tea kettle that I got over the fire right now, boiling up for supper. Keeping it pretty simple, doing a 1 skillet meal. Gonna be putting in these potatoes along with some bacon and some onions. Got a nice bed of coals off to the side of my main fire here. Gonna be perfect for cooking up my meal. Got a bit of lard in there. I'll start the potatoes first, and then add the other ingredients as the potatoes begin to cook. Am I ever looking forward to this? After a long day in the outdoors, a good hearty meal, good tea is always greatly appreciated. One pan meal. Bacon, potato, and onions. Those are some good onions, wow. What a life, eh? Well, that certainly was a fantastic meal. Really hit the spot. We are finally at my favorite part of the day. It's time to sit on a log, smoke a pipe, enjoy some tea. I've got some Virginia Perique blend in here, if anyone's wondering. I was actually thinking back to the first time that I read Woodcraft and Camping. I was, I believe, around 10 years old when I first discovered that book. And reading through it, reading the camps that Nesmith stayed at in winter, an open camp with just a fire out front to keep warm. At that point in my life, I hadn't done any backcountry winter camping. The only winter camps that I'd been in were at hunting camps in November. But these were camps where we could drive right to. So we had everything. We stayed in big wall tents. We had wood stoves, cots, minus 30-degree sleeping bags. And while typically there was snow and the temperatures were well below zero, we stayed out there and had a relatively easy time in the tents. But I can recall you go to sleep in those wall tents with the wood stove burning, and the wood stove's putting off a good amount of heat. And actually, Nesmith kind of touches on this exact topic in Woodcraft and Camping. But you go to bed with the stove roaring, and it's nice and warm, and a few hours later you wake up and the stove has died down and the tent is ice cold. And you're just hoping that someone else is going to wake up and go stoke the fire so you don't have to. I can remember waking up in those hunting camps in my sleeping bag, just shivering because it was so cold. And so when I read about his camps, I thought that there was absolutely no way you could sleep out in the open and just have a campfire and stay warm. And I was pleasantly surprised to learn otherwise once I tried it. The first time I tried it, actually, I didn't have very much success. My fire was way too small. Backlogs were way too small. And it was a early spring camp. There's still a little bit of snow on the ground. Temperatures below freezing. And I froze. Definitely I froze. And then the next time I had a little bit better idea of what I was doing and had a much better experience. Actually thinking about it, I guess, some of the best sleeps and the warmest nights that I've ever had in the outdoors have been in camps similar to this. Sleeping on a bough bed under a wool blanket with a bright fire out front. Even in minus 20, minus 30 degree temperatures. So this is the rest of my night. Just going to relax for a little bit longer and then turn in. I'm going to pile on some more logs before I go to bed and push them up against my back logs, and we'll see if it lights up and how warm I'm able to stay. I really do appreciate you all watching, and thank you all for the kind comments so far throughout this series. It's been really nice to go through them, read them all. Really appreciate all your support. For now, though, that's all I got for you. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.